qualifier this afternoon. We'll take a midway break after 18th in the order. Faults converted for today's competition for the young riders. Eliminated athletes will receive 20+ penalties, more than the most severely penalized athletes, counting towards the team scores for tomorrow. We'll ride the top 6 for presentation.
Well, very good evening from Traverse City Horse Shows as we get underway with the final of 4 sections that we've seen here today in the Gotham North FEI North American Youth Jumping Championships presented by USHJA. We have made it to the Young Rider first individual qualifier. It's set in a Table C format over a course designed by USA's Nick Granite. We have 36 entries here to see. All of them have worked their way to qualify for this very prestigious event here in Michigan. First of those, Hallie Duke leads the charge for Canada aboard Ilana. Will be the first to take on this track. Several very technical elements. And like I said, set in the Table C format, so these riders are not only trying to keep the rails up, but they're trying to do it quite quickly because any rail down is 4 seconds added to the clock rather than counting as traditional faults. So it encourages these riders to really put the pedal to the metal a little bit. Looks like a couple, maybe just 1 rail down in that double combination there. A pair that was the U25 2021 champions, their home nation of Canada. Lana, a mare that Hallie owns herself, 10-year-old by Decord. And so she comes home in a time of 74.86. Going ahead and setting the bar for the rest of the young riders to follow her. This is a $10,000 class. So of course you want to definitely go for the clear, but also plenty of added incentive to go for that win. Big jump set up to meter 45, so very careful fences set along this track. Rider that's really making waves in FEI competition. We have Hallie Grimes up next, riding for Zone 7. She's aboard Melissa Demuse for Can We Keep It LLC. 11-year-old Belgian warm blood mare by Vigo Diarsu. Bit of an S line to get started there. Melissa Demuse already a lot of top results. 4th in a 4-star meter 50 at Devon, 6th in a 4-star Grand Prix at Old Salem. Also a few top placings in 3-star action throughout the season as well. Fairly new ride for Hallie. She's a very competitive string right now, trying to fit each of her horses at all levels. Really tight turn back to those tulips. Thinking practically about some of these rather tight turns where she can shave off some time. Training under Daniel Blumen. This pair was clear in 6th in Hallie's first 4-star Grand Prix at Old Salem. And taking down a rail there towards the end of the course. But again, an event like this is truly about consistency. As we get to the end of the week when medals will be awarded, it's likely going to be those riders that have the fewest rails down. But you want to set yourself up for success early on. So 75.23. The time there for Hallie Grimes. Augusta Iwasaki next to go. Or before we get to Augusta, Haley Royce first. Riding for Zone 4 aboard Barney Blue for Royce Sport Horses. winner of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame High Junior Amateur Grand Prix at the National Horse Show this past season. Also, junior team gold and individual bronze at this very event last year, as well as the year before. Took junior team gold in 2021 as well. So moving up to the young rider category this time around. This is a new partner for her. They've competed in some 2- and 3-star classes together so far. So moving up the levels, they've had several successful outings right here in Traverse City together. Training under Jess Mendoza. Oh, just rolled that out. Kind of a late fall there. So comes home in 68.66 with the 1 rail to add, so 72.66 is the time taken there for Haley Royce and Barney Blue. That is going to take over the lead at this point. So there you see a 4-fault round going ahead of a clear effort. Added incentive to just take the pace up a notch. Now the turn of Augusta Iwasaki. She's aboard Fresca for Chris Iwasaki and Elizabeth Riley, joining us from Zone 10. 13-year-old Dutch warm blood mare by Karen Ball. Very accomplished rider, just staged out of her junior career, now riding as an amateur. Winner of all of the major equitation finals. 2022, she won the USCT finals, Washington finals, and Maclay finals, as well as in Wellington this past season, U25 Grand Prix final winner, and the High Classic winner of the Devon Horse Show. Just an all-around stellar competitor, extremely talented at the Hunters as well. Comes in a little early on the A element of that combination. Bit of a long run here to this Oxer at the end of the ring as well. Easy to get lost a little bit. There's some really tight turns that might throw you off your pace. Looking pretty quick though. We'll have 1 rail to add. But I believe that is going to take over the lead, 69.94. So quick enough. She stayed on that pace that the 4 seconds to add did not drop her down too far in the leaderboard. So stellar round there for Augusta Iwasaki. And as we move ahead into the team competition and an individual final, faults will return to their normal 4 penalties. The riders will earn a score at the close of competition today based off of their time compared to the time of the winner multiplied by a coefficient that will give them an overall score. Ranks them in the order that they performed in this class. First rider for Mexico underway next. It's This is Maya Denise. She's the ride for Corinne Chambon and Emmanuel Denise aboard Gentienne Demuse. 9-year-old stallion by Triomphe Demuse. This is a horse that has mileage in the FEI. Together they rode to a top 5 finish in the 2-star division, the Longines Global Champions Tour of Miami Beach. Also silver medal finish individually at the North American Youth Championships in the juniors in 2019. Team gold medal that year as well. So a very decorated rider. Riders turning very tightly back to that tulip vertical. Key place that they're opting to save time. Well, there we go. The leads changes hands again. Maya taking over with a time of 67:13. So it didn't look like she was all out running anywhere. She was just very efficient around this whole track. Exactly the strategy that she needed to take over the lead. And back to Canada for our next rider. Lily Elliott has the ride aboard Pesco Adelheid Z. Ride for Yvonne Van Duyn. 9-year-old Zangerscheid Gelding. This horse jumped very successfully at the meter 45 level across North America in its 8-year-old year. And together they've jumped U25 classes together. The rider was the winner of the 2022 Jump Canada Medal National Final. Top 10 finish in the U25 Grand Prix, the Canadian premiere at T-Bird. Takes a pretty big shot into that oxer. Slows her down slightly, making that left turn. Off the pace there, 71.82, but beautiful clear round put in. Builds the confidence going into 2 more days of jumping. And tomorrow's going to be a challenging day for these young riders as they go out for their team competition. 2 rounds back-to-back of jumping. Shows ultimate resilience and consistency. Oliver Close rides for Zone 8 of the United States. He's aboard Jumping Jack ZF. 11-year-old gelding by Cannon. Training under Ivan Rakowski. Avidly competing in the high amateur jumpers, as well as an equitation career out on the West Coast. And last year was his first appearance at the North American Youth Championships. stellar jumping effort here. Spending a little bit more time in the corners, so maybe not going to be among the fastest here. Last comes down as well. 76.93 is the ultimate time with the fault taken into consideration. So Maya Denise holds her lead, 67.13 is that current time to beat. And we turn to Maggie Jacobs. Next to go, riding for Zone 5, Clyde VA, owned by Pony Up Sport Horses. 14-year-old Holsteiner Stallion by Caratino. Former ride of Jason Foley and Shane Breen. Winner of the Hickstead Masters Trophy with Shane, actually. Also winner of the 5-star Olympia 5-fence challenge with Shane. Young Riders Nations Cup for Ireland back in 2022 with Jason Foley aboard. Very accomplished horse. And helping the rider navigate the higher levels of show jumping. 7th place in the Live Oak Grand Prix. So 4th place in a Tryon National Grand Prix. And a jump to clear round in the 2-star Welcome at Tryon. So no stranger to a bigger, more technical track like this. Keeping a slightly steadier pace here. But jumping really nicely. Training under Allie Wolf, who will be joining us back in the commentary booth a little later on. Great round there for Maggie at Clyde. 72.89 with nothing to add. Sits in 5th place. Sophia Cady up next for Zone 7. ZG Bella is her ride for Twist Studio LLC. 11-year-old mare by Quality Show. She's already been a gold medalist here at Young Riders. 2 clear rounds for the team. Took her through the Winter Equestrian Festival U25 League. Very competitive U25 show jumping down there. Also 3rd and 4th in Pin Oak Grand Prix earlier this season. Comes down a little hard on that back rail of the double. Opts for an inside turn here to save some time. And beautifully executes that. That's a little brilliant. It'll be interesting to see how many riders opt for that now that they've seen it. And she comes home with a really fast time as a result. 4 seconds to add, 67.97, but that still is the 2nd place time. She was a good bit faster Had she not had that rail, she would have taken over the lead. But still pretty comfortably in second there. Bailey McKeever up next, riding for Zone 2. This is Formidable, 13-year-old Dutch Warmblood by Carambeau. Attending Auburn University and trained here by McLean Ward, daughter of Lee McKeever, who grooms for McLean. Some top placings in the equitation finals as well for this rider. 8th place in the Washington equitation finals and 11th at Maclay finals. That was last season. As a competitor in the U25 circuit as well in Wellington. Took 6th place at the Pennsylvania National Horse Show Junior Jumpers in 2022, so moving up the ranks. And with an absolutely stellar coach. Balanced quite a bit for that Oxer. Maybe might have slowed her down just a hair. She won't be far off the time. She's not quite going to get there. But it is a really good time still, 68.80. Nothing to add there, so takes over at 3rd place. Zone 3 competitor up next, Elena Haas, aboard Santana. 12-year-old Oldenburg mare by Centadel. Elena competed at the 2022 Youth Nations Cup Finals in Kronenberg, as well as the 2021 and 2022 North American Youth Championships. Santana was her 4th place mount at the 2021 Prix de States. Also her mount for the last 2 editions of NAYC. So one that she knows very well, now training under Andrew Wells here in Michigan. Jumped in the 2-star Grand Prix of Miami Beach. Took a 6th place finish there. And jumped her first 5-star at the 2023 Spruce Meadows Summer Series. Very impressive string of horses right now. Just one from home. She is definitely on the pace. And there we go, new leader. Shaves about 2 seconds off that winning time. 65.33 becomes the new time to beat, put in by Elena Haas and Santana. Again, I do feel like there might still be just a little bit of room there. Oh, that was very tighty. I think some boldness could be well rewarded here. However, they do run the risk of having a rail down, of course wanting to aim for ultimate consistency over the course of the 3 days of competition. Ansley Wright up next, riding for Zone 4, Diamanto JTZ is her ride. 11-year-old Sangerscheid Gelding by Diamant Simile. Trained by Alan Korotkin. Multiple top 10 placings in National Grand Prix action, as well as bronze medal at the USHJ Platinum Jumper Championships. They've jumped 3-star ranking classes together, as well as meter 45 and meter 50 Grand Prix classes. First to have that tulip vertical down. .72.44 is the time there for Ansley and Diamanto. So a good time there. Puts them into 7th place. That brings us to Andrew Lopez, rider for Zone 10. He's aboard Epsilon de Bernil. 9-year-old gelding by Ernest. On the bronze medal winning 2022 Youth Nations Cup team in Langley, the Thunderbird Show Park. Top 12 placings in National Grand Prix action as well. And member of the silver medal winning Zone 10 Prix de States team. Very successful team rider. We'll see if he can keep up the luck as he goes into team competition tomorrow. But first, the individual qualifying round. He's somewhat developed this horse himself. Got this horse 2 years ago as a 7-year-old and had quite a bit of work to do, and now has developed this horse into a top athlete. Winner of meter 40 and meter 45 classics at Thermal. And unfortunately, that double calling him out yet again. So picking up the pace now, knowing that he's had a rail down, trying to make up that 4 seconds. Definitely interfere with the plan that you put forward. A little added pace up and over the last. So 70.85, the time taken there for Andrew Lopez and Epsilon. And a welcome back to Allie Wolf, who joined us for quite a bit of the commentary early on today and had to step back into the trainer role.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. You know, this course is definitely proving a rideability test. You know, I think if you keep that smooth, consistent track around, you're going to have a fairly decent time, which is going to put you in, you know, near contention.
What was some of the advice that you had for your student going into tackling this course?
My girl, you know, she has a horse with a huge stride, so we decided that we didn't want to watch a lot because nobody was going to do the numbers that we wanted to do, and we didn't want to interfere with that mental performance. So, and I told her the last thing that she went into the ring, you know, ride your track, ride your horse you have today. And she did that. She rode beautiful. We had a nice clear round. You know, I'd say medium fast. So I think we're feeling really good for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good way to set up for 2 more days of competition. A lot more jumping still to come. So that's about all you can ask for a course like this.
Exactly. And you don't want to ask too many questions of them, as they do have a lot of jumping tomorrow, a lot of efforts to make. You know, the course is going to be bigger. It's going to be tougher, more technical probably. So you don't want to waste all horse on today.
Well, underway with Ava DeCaster riding for Zone 6 and Carlotta for Baywin's Equestrian. 12-year-old Holsteiner mare by Claramo. And we've seen quite a bit of impressive jumping so far.
Yeah, it's definitely jumping. You know, I think, you know, it's definitely scopy. It's really studying the fences, and she's really trying to kind of move it up into the distances. It's backing off just a little bit, but she is holding it together nicely.
A beautiful clear there, 74.45 with nothing to add. It's getting more competitive as the rounds keep coming. Currently leading time 65.33 set by Elena Haas. And just a few away from our midway drag break, but before we get there, we have a few international athletes. Up next, our next rider from Mexico, Patricio Pascual. He rides Serrano for RSI Societas. 17-year-old Holsteiner gelding by Sassano.
Yeah, and again, it's nice to see Mexico back with us. You know, they're definitely strong contenders. I think they might be fielding a team perhaps. And they've definitely brought some really strong horses and riders this year.
This rider, winner of a young rider class in Aachen, has placed in several 2-star Grand Prix as well and in 5-star events. The horse has also placed up to the 5-star level. So some top competitors starting to dip their toe into FEI action.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of these competitors have maybe started breaching at least the 2-star level, getting their feet wet in those CSI divisions. You know, that allows them to kind of get a feel for these bigger heights. And it's not just the bigger height of the fence per se, it is the technicality of the course as you do go up in the ranks. Opting for the 8 there, balancing nice for the 1. Short 4, and now he kind of needs to get going. And you want to keep continuing around here, even though the double of verticals is asking to set you up really slow. He did that really nice. And you want to keep continuing, probably the 8 strides here.
So just off that leading time. Takes over second place, though. So
that was definitely
well
a great
done.
ride, yeah. They've got a big cheering squad, which is really nice to see.
Mexico did bring a very impressive squad this year of our first dressage competitors competing for Mexico as well. So Mexico riders in both rings. And we move right along to Quentin Werner Baumler, another rider for Canada and competitor here last year at the North American Youth Championships. Hayden is her ride. 11-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding by Zambezi. And a rider that's competed at the last 2 editions of the North American Youth Championships. Also rode to a top 12 finish in a 3-star 2-phase in Ocala recently.
Yeah, I believe she rides with Ronan McGuigan, mainly based in Florida. I know he definitely made the trip up here. I saw him the other day.
I think we might have actually skipped ahead one. This might be Josie Atherton.
Really had to put in a strong effort there. Didn't quite get across that back rail. Went to the stick a little bit. Yes, this is Josie.
Josie aboard Chipotle. 11-year-old gelding owned by P3 Ventures.
And just a little bit studious at the Liverpool. Got there a little bit weak, a little bit deep, and just rolled off that front rail. You know, at this point now she kind of has to kick it a little bit into gear if she wants to have a little contention coming into tomorrow for a team or even individual. You know, with this format, it's very tricky and it's very strategic. You know, this is a table C format, faults converted into seconds. So you do, you know, want to be quick, but you don't want to be so fast, again, that you waste your horse for the days to come. You still have, you know, probably 2-3 more days left, and you need a horse at the end of it for the biggest of jumping.
So they finish on a total of 79.57. So just off the pace, especially with those 2 rails to add. Quentin Baumler now up next for Canada, aboard Hayden. Canada sending forward 1 team in this young rider category as well as 1 individual.
Yeah, and again, Canada fielding a strong team, especially enough to have that reserve or send an additional individual. You know, that just demonstrates the depth of the Canadian team, and they're really, you know, stepping behind the development efforts of a young Canadian team developing into the senior team, really trying to figure out their next reserves to call upon for these next coming years for the senior teams, big games. Rode that line really nice. You know, this is a hotter horse, so he just has to really focus on holding it together, not letting it out too much. Still looked like he was turning the corner as he was jumping it, just hooked it a hair behind. Pulled it together nicely for the 1 to the 4, though. Just caught another one behind. The horse just looked like it didn't quite finish behind. You know, that was a little bit unusual. So he just wants to pull it together, you know, get the horse's shape, especially going in for tomorrow.
79.76 is the time taken there for Quentin and Hayden. So very important today, regardless of how this shakes out, to kind of clear your mind a little bit. At least if you have a good round, you can kind of let that confidence carry you through to the next round. But if you have a rail or 2 down, making sure that you can come back out strong tomorrow is always very important.
Exactly, and you know, it adds, you know, a little bit more pressure that these scores do in fact carry and affect your team score for tomorrow. So you do want to keep that in the back of your head, but at the same time, you don't want that to just be the sole factor and make you lose focus.
Olivia Williams is our last before our midway drag break, riding for Zone 5, and she pilots a Rocco Blue S. 10-year-old Dutch warm-blood gelding by VDL's Rocco Blue.
We've seen a bunch of different numbers from 1 to 2 and a few different numbers from 2 to 3. I think 1 to 2 to 3 is really rideability test. You know, the riders need to know the striding of their own horse, what the horse can handle, how much they can let the horse out those first 3 jumps and still have enough horse to get them home. She rode that really well, pulled it together nicely for that 5 to the 1. Stayed out to shape the 8. And really balanced nicely for the 4.
So far, really well ridden round, chasing 65.33.
Created an extra balance there. You know, the horse is a very forward-thinking horse. So again, she also wants to just hold this one back a little bit. Don't let it out too much. She didn't put full throttle on, but just enough. And it actually does take her into first place.
Yeah, impressively takes over the lead there, 64.31 by about a second. So pushes Elena Haas into a second, Patricio Pascual into a third. So it's really been a lot of impressive rounds. They're not exactly rushing through this course. The ones that have been quick haven't been running by any means. It's just been efficient everywhere and making sure that they set up the jumps properly.
Yeah, exactly. And like what you just saw, that was very efficient. That was smooth. That was clean riding. You know, she wasn't crazy. She didn't let it all out, but that slid her right into first. So that's kind of an indication of kind of the pace for today. I think these girls and guys are riding very smart, you know, keeping it a little bit controlled, keeping them a little bit reserved, but enough to put the pressure on and enough to have hopefully a good score coming off of today.
Well, that change up in the leaderboard brings us into our midway drag break. There you see our current leaderboard. We've seen exactly half of these 36 entries to come. Actually, I think 37 entries. We'll see 19 more to come after the drag break. So just don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 15 minutes from this midway drag.
U.S. Equestrian. Thousands of equestrians have united
to watch, to learn,
to experience, to compete.
In the pursuit of fairness, safety, welfare, and joy.
From the grassroots to the Olympic Games.
Each with personal goals, but all united together for the joy of horse sports.
Ride united. Ride with US Equestrian.
Normal. Nice. You can roll with that. Or you can roll the dice. Be the brave and boldly go a different way. A different wave. It's the risk taken by the gamers, chasing the glimmers. We're the risk takers, the loud laughers, the grand Traverse Bay late night swimmers. It's about the destination. It's about the way. And at Turtle Creek Casino in Traverse City, life is a game, and this is how we play.
With NetJets, travel will always be personal. We do everything it takes to make every flight exceptional. Every single detail of your experience is personalized, just for you. As our standard is not just to meet our definition of perfection, it's to exceed yours.
Whenever you shop Meijer, you shop for more than yourself. You help support sustainability in all our communities.
Thank you.
Today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
What makes good footing? More importantly, what makes safe footing? Is it the dimensions, the foundation, or the irrigation? What if we told you good footing is not a single aspect, rather the entire process, from the design and intended use to which arena builder you choose? With GGT footing, it's not just the most trusted arena additive in the world, but the experience and knowledge to ensure your footing is safe.
Equifit really takes a different approach to product development and to the materials that we use in our products. We're always looking outside to see what the sports world and medical worlds are doing, and we apply that to the equine athlete. We love horses, so that's just what really fuels us to do what we do.
So, you know, if they are all relatively within a few seconds of each other, you shouldn't see much discrepancy in the calculation of the points that you will find tomorrow.
Corinne Sweeney rides next for Zone 2, aboard Terra M for Sagamore Farms, 12-year-old Irish sport horse mare by Louis Dom. Attending the University of Virginia. And a competitor here in prior years. Jumped for the junior team in 2022, also team bronze at Prix d'Estates in 2022.
Exactly, and it's nice to, again, have, you know, a repeat rider coming back again, moving up in the ranks. She trains with Darren Graziano. Darren's done a really nice job, you know, really helping her climb up, getting the right horses, keeping that confidence, and they have a great team and a great system. Just a little extra balance for the 9. And now she needs to get going.
Horse that previously jumped FEI action with Lauren Huff. They've jumped this rider's first Grand Prix with this horse.
And that was a very nice round.
Very nicely done. Nothing to add to that time of 68.82.
And that was quick enough, you know. I'd say that's a very, very comfortable spot to be in.
Yeah, knowing that we're a little over halfway through the order and she's in 7th place, that's pretty promising. And with fences this big, you really don't know how the next 3 days are going to shake out. By the time we get to the individual final, it could paint a completely different picture.
Exactly. Your individual starts now and travels for the next few days, so, you know, take it easy. It's a marathon again, just like what we said. All points are accumulative.
Alex Ryden is next with the Beechwood Stables entry Ilias. It's the 15-year-old Belgian warm-blood stallion by Emerald.
Yeah, and I think she trains with Max, and they've had this horse in their stable for a while, so they know it quite well. Again, this horse also has had a lot of experience at this height and bigger, which is really comforting and useful, you know, if you just maybe stepping up into this height or not super comfortable with this height. You know, a smart horse like this, an older one that can kind of help show you the ropes, help you get out of trouble a little bit, and keep you safe.
I believe this horse was actually McLean Ward's 2nd place ride in the American Gold Cup.
Yeah,
not this past year, but in prior years.
He definitely rode this one at one point.
He's had several 2nd place finishes, never a 1st place in the American Gold Cup, but this was one of them, I think.
Yep. So, you know, this horse has been there, done that.
And Alex giving it a fantastic ride here. A little off the pace.
Just one more ad for that last Oxer and make sure he comes really far back, and you know, that's a very good time as well.
We do have some top riders still coming and some top horses that are just like that one, very well experienced. They've been piloted by some of the world's top riders. Fiona Sutton next to go for Zone 4, aboard Cooper Zed, 10-year-old Zangerscheid gelding by Comme Il Faut.
Talking about, you know, breeding stallions and following them, Comme Il Faut is another stallion that we've seen a lot of his offspring start to enter these bigger heights.
They picked up some top placings in Junior Jumper Classics at the World Equestrian Center.
It's a little bit of a bigger, a little bit of a slower horse, so she's going to want to stay a little bit tighty. Just got a little too much underneath number 4. Jumped a bit over the front end there and just had it down. You know, it seems like a big horse, and she's just trying to kind of keep it all together. Not necessarily going to be the fastest round, but at this point I think if she can just stay a little bit efficient, put in a good last few fences and prepare preparation for tomorrow, I think she should be good.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily look like the easiest ride. I think she's really having to work hard out there. And she clears the last, so it is just one down. Final time 77.66 for Fiona and Cooper. So up next, Lauren Colby rides for Zone 10. It's the ride aboard Dots and Dashes for Full Tilt Farms, 13-year-old Holsteiner mare by Diarado.
It's definitely another fun name, Dots and Dashes.
They've jumped up to high levels out in California at the Desert Horse Park. Very successful partnership so far. I believe they took a podium finish in National Grand Prix action.
Opted for the bending 9 to the easier 8. I think she just wants to kind of keep this one a little bit in check. Not necessarily going for the win here, but just kind of going for a neat, you know, quick round, but keeping the horse together.
Yeah, it's very important at this stage in the weekend to stay competitive, whether that means pushing it as much as you believe your horse can, or just tuning it back just a hair, staying within that realm of speed that you need to stay within, you know, the top dozen or so, but not risk a rail down. Unfortunately, that's what happens there at that big wooden oxer.
Yeah, I think it just looked like she, you know, was trying to hold him back and maybe took a little bit of energy out to get across that back rail. Then also had B of the double of verticals down as well.
So 78.05 is the final time there for Lauren with Dots and Dashes. Rider for Zone 1 up next. We've seen her show an FEI action right here in this ring, Eva Fisherman. She rides Casalvano. This is a 14-year-old Holsteiner gelding by Casal, which is a stallion you're very familiar with. You have one of those as well.
Yeah, so I'm very partial to the Casals.
This one was a top competitor with Germany's Daniel Deusser. So very successful mount.
I was gonna say, that name sounds very familiar.
They've been really successful in U25 action, 5th in the U25 final at WEF just this past season, also 6th in a 2-star Grand Prix here last year, and winner on the winning team, U25 team, last season in Wellington.
Sticks with the 7-7. She's gonna really try and go for it. Tight turn back. Balancing the 5. And pulls it together for the Liverpool. She gets a really tidy roll back to the tulips. And opts for the 7 to the 1. Ah, just barely touches A. Front rail of A comes down.
It's been a pretty quick ride though, hopefully even with the 4 to add. Oh, unfortunately now 8 to add. So that's certainly gonna change things.
It's interesting that that back rail now has come down quite a lot. You know, walking the course didn't really think much of it. You know, I'm wondering if they maybe walked a striding from the Just World oxer to that oxer, and maybe just the way it was riding, it just comes up funny, but quite a few have definitely had that back rail.
So 73.09 is the final time there with the 8 seconds added for Eva and Casalvano. Next rider for Mexico is Francisco Pascual Vega. Rides dominant 2000 Z. Ride owned by Julia Cooney and Eve Botorlinski. 13-year-old Zingerscheid Stallion by Diamant de Semely. Very experienced rider. Already a 5th place in a 5-star Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows and 2nd place in the 2-star Grand Prix in the Longines Global Champions Tour of Mexico. Winner of meter 54-star as well.
Yeah, so he comes in with a lot of experience. You know, again, this is a different type of an atmosphere, riding as a team. Maybe that's something that might be a little bit new for him, but definitely not the level or the height should play much of a factor for him.
And there's so many talented up-and-coming riders from Mexico. We've seen them field some really impressive teams over the past few years, and I think the path, the riders coming up through the pipeline just bodes really well for Mexico for the coming years.
Exactly. You know, he gets the 9 a little bit late, but gets away with it, and then just takes the Just World down. Still a very fast time, though.
Could very well stay competitive. Olivia Williams still leads the way, 64.31. He wouldn't have been far off that. He is going to have 4 seconds to add, so 69.10 for Francisco.
Still a very good time. You know, ideally you'd want to be in the top, probably the top 10, I would say, coming off of today, just to be in a very, very good position. But again, you know, like we've witnessed this morning with the children's and the pre-juniors team competition taking place, anything can happen.
Ana Cristina Rodriguez next to go. Individual rider for Guatemala, aboard Ferdita for Juan Andres Rodriguez Silva, the owner. 13-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare by Cardento. I believe this is her 4th appearance at NAYC, competed in 2018 in the children's division. And in 2021 and 2022, she competed as a junior, so stepping up into the young rider category this year.
And again, you see another rider going up that pipeline. So she's definitely had some team experience. She has a great trainer behind her, Juan Andres Rodriguez. I believe the owner actually of this horse as well.
And this is a very special partnership, it seems. She's had this horse since she was only 3 years old. So she's had the opportunity to really see her develop and grow as a partnership. And this was her ride.
Back rail of that one. That was too bad. I think it kind of had it with its stomach a little bit coming off of it.
Oh, another to come down
Another
early
back
on
rail.
the back rail. Yeah, I kind of wonder if the riders are a little committed to a number through there.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, you walk the course, you think you know the fences that might pose a problem, and turns out it's another one.
So 78.55 is the time taken there for Ana Cristina.
You know, that brown aqueduct stonewall fence definitely got a lot of people in the previous class. You know, it could have also been the placement of where it was. Now it's positioned a little bit differently and seems to be posing no problems to these riders. But a lot is taken into account, again, like the placement in the ring, you know, coming off of the fence before it, where it is, that the distance leading up to it. It's just very interesting in that, you know, one fence could pose a problem and headed one direction and be completely fine, and the next line at a different angle.
Exactly. There's so much you can glean from a course just by walking and studying it, but then you learn so much more when you see it in action or you get to ride it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you see the shadows a little bit in front of number 4. You would think that might pose a little bit of an issue as well, but I'm pretty sure these horses have been there, seen that. They're not fooled.
We have our final individual competitor coming down the hill now. Olivia Williams still leads the way with a Rocco Blue, the time of 64:31. They have the lead by just over a second. Elena Haas sitting in second place with Santana. And rider from Mexico, Patricio Pascual and Serrano sitting in third. An individual competitor for Canada up next, Chiara Semrau. Pilots Marquis Lebeau Corrali for Alain Furter. 11-year-old Belgian warm blood gelding by Cabrio van de Heffink. Chiara getting some valuable miles out on the West Coast in National Grand Prix action. And also already an individual bronze and team silver medalist at the North American Youth Championships herself. Top 3 placings in 3 National Grand Prix this past winter at the Desert Horse Park. And just recently turned professional, training alongside Mark Kinsella of Ireland. And she's actually here without Mark, because Mark and his wife Sophie are expecting their first baby, and really any day now.
You know, and I think she's in probably good hands with the Team Canada and Captain Canada helping guide. Amy Miller on the side. That's, you know, that's a dream team for sure. Barely toes that front rail of that Liverpool, comes down, just trails the hind end behind, and same thing again with the next fence, that Tulip vertical. Coming a little bit unraveled, having the front rail of A as well as the Just World.
Still a relatively new ride for her. Just kind of helping develop this horse.
Yeah, and again, it's just getting to know these horses in this type of a setting. You know, it's completely different feeling and ride. Going in, riding for yourself in one class than it is coming in here, all eyes on you in a championship event when people, you know, you feel the pressure from your teammates and others.
So time 92:59 there for Chiara. And we stay with Canada for our next athlete. Was actually a podium finisher last year at this very event. William Martin rides Recore a Courcelle for Leslie Martin. This horse is 18 years old this year. Self-Francais gelding by Caprice Bois Margot.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this horse, you know, ridden previously by another rider for many years. This horse has been there, done that. It's seen everything. It's a great partner, and it's great that this horse is still competing at 18.
Well, and they actually, I said they were podium finishers, but they were actually the individual gold medal winner. So more than just a podium finisher. That was in the junior division last year, and top 5 finish individually in the pre-junior division the year prior. So always extremely competitive. And I suspect that this year will be no different.
Yeah, and I think he's training with Andrew Borns at the moment, so he's getting some great tutelage for that. So far, putting in a really nice, efficient round, tight roll back here. This has caught a few people.
Actually, this horse stepped into the spotlight last year with them. Wasn't supposed to be his mount for the 2022 North American Youth Championships, and I think his horse that he had chosen got hurt, so this horse had to step up and ended up stepping up quite well. That's only the second time I've seen the inside turn there.
Yeah, it's a little ugly, and that's what could happen if you do it, but you know, you got to take risks. You know, he wanted to take a risk without flying around, and he still had a really fast time.
So would have been good enough for second place if not for that rail. 68.76 puts him into 6th place. So still a top contender. Zone 8's Haley Hack is next. La Luciole is her ride. 12-year-old Saint Francais mare by Paradis Latine.
I think this is another professional that you'll again see some of these professionals riding in these classes. You know, again, up to 21 you can ride. Doesn't matter, junior, amateur. Well, I guess you might have to be an amateur. Amateur or pro, doesn't matter.
Took a win in Grand Prix action, U25 Grand Prix action this summer in Colorado. Also top 12 in a 2-star welcome at the San Juan Capistrano International during Nations Cup week.
Yeah, and she's keeping the pace, maybe going a little bit wider on some of the turns. Not taking too many risks. And just a little bit deep to the in of the double and caught up with her also on the out. And just taking a little bit of a wider turn to the last, squaring it up, trying to give him the best shot to jump clean.
So 79-26, the final score there for Haley. We have only about 7 entries left, but there's some really competitive ones. We could certainly see a change up there at the top. And the top currently led by Olivia Williams and a Rocco Blue.
Yeah, so the order for today is drawn by the chef of each respective zone. But within that order, you know, the chef has already put together the team draw. So, you know, for the most part, you'll probably be seeing this rotation for tomorrow. So you'll start to see a lot of the anchor riders for each zone. Alex is an anchor rider for Zone 5.
On Alex Alston, very well mounted new partner in Kiyoki, riding for Zone 5. Pine Hollow Farm, the owner of this 14-year-old Holsteiner stallion by Katoki.
Yeah, so this horse was seen a lot under David Blake, you know, doing a lot of the big stuff. Big Grand Prix, 4 stars, some 5 stars. So again, another horse that's seen all this before.
On Alex, a competitor at this very event last year, and not only a competitor, team gold and individual bronze medalist in the young rider category.
Just takes out A and B, maybe came in a little bit off that longer stride, had the back rail of A and trailed along for B. Oh, it just wants to pull it together. But did have a very fast time.
That was very fast, 65-14, and it didn't look like he was going all that fast anywhere. So the 8 to add moves it up to 73-14. So probably a little higher of a score than he would have hoped for in this opening round. But again, there are 3 more rounds that he's going to have to jump, and that everyone's going to have to jump. So things could certainly change.
Exactly, and we'll kind of wait around to see how those points calculate after that. You know, it might not look as bad after the calculation by a multiplier of 0.5 and then the difference from the winning time.
Zone 7 rider Stella Wasserman up next with Eldorado at WPZ. 11-year-old Zankerscheid gelding by Eldorado. And a top mount for her. She has several up-and-coming jumpers really starting to make waves in the FEI divisions, but this one, I believe, has been her partner for a few years now. I'm not exactly sure how long, but I've seen this pair come forward in 2-star action before. They have wins at the 2-star level and placings at the 4-star level.
Already had an early fence down. Caught fence 2. We haven't seen very much of 2 come down yet. Really trying to make up time now. That's cost 4 seconds, so she's really trying to find a place to kind of make that up, but also incurs another 4 faults at A.
Stella's another rider that is very successful in the hunters and equitation as well. Very well-rounded young rider.
Just had that back rail again. It's come down a lot, as well as we're now seeing A of the double of verticals start to come down.
So 16 seconds to add there, 83.68. The time for Stella Wasserman and El Dorado.
Probably not the outcome that she was hoping for today, but again, not all is lost today.
So getting down to the tail end of our starting order, and this young rider, first individual qualifier, Mia Bagnato, is up next with Balliosco Big Bucks for a Lawn Farm. 10-year-old Irish sport horse stallion by Royal Concord. Horse formerly ridden by Ireland's Jordan Coyle, up to the 5-star level, but a fairly new partnership with Mia. National Grand Prix mileage together.
Yeah, so, you know, this is a big scopy horse, and I think she's doing a great job so far. You know, she wants to make sure to keep it a little bit contained. Took a flyer to the Liverpool and then quickly turned, rolling back on that tulip. Now she's kind of reeling it in for the careful double. And takes B down. And as well, just rolls off the front rail of that Just World. You know, sometimes when you ask a lot of a horse in the beginning of the course, it sometimes comes to catch up with you just a little bit by the end of the course. I think that's just maybe what happened on those 2 fences. Pulled it together beautifully for the last.
76.95 becomes that ultimate time there for Mia. So Olivia Williams has had the lead, held the lead for quite some time now. 64.31 is still the time to beat. And I believe we only have 3 remaining. First of those, Virginia Bonney with Effadea. Ride for Nina Bonney, representative from Zone 3 aboard the 14-year-old Dutch Warm Blood mare by Kashmir von Schuttershoff.
Takes a good angle to 1. Pulls it together for the 8. And another 8. She's very tidy back on 4, though.
Wow, yeah.
Nice through the double.
This pair took the gold medal in the Palm Beach Masters Junior Nations Cup in 2020.
Great rollback. She should have a pretty decent time.
Definitely staying on the pace through this whole course.
Gets through the Joker Oxer and pulls it together for the double of verticals. Quite a careful horse.
It's a little bit of time to get home, challenging that leading time. Oh, just off, unfortunately, but still extremely competitive there, 64.92, so can't be too disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. And she, you know, where some have left out down those first 2 lines, she added, knowing her horse. and then just made a more efficient turn rolling back from 3 to 4. So that's, again, just knowing your horse, knowing the partnership, where you can take the risks, and where you need to pull it back together.
So a little bit of a change in the leaderboard there. Virginia Bonnie gets herself into that second place position. Olivia Williams still holds the lead. Elena Haas pushed into third. Caroline Mawhinney next to go. Representing Zone 4 aboard Hollywood V. 11-year-old Dutch Warmblood gelding by My Lord Carthago. And she's one that really has risen up through the ranks. She's competed at NAYC in every level, earning a silver medal at both pre-junior and junior levels, as well as team bronze and gold for both of those levels.
And unfortunately just comes down on the back rail of that first fence. She's a very competitive rider, very quick. She's partnered with, Jess Mendoza for many years. They have a great team. Jess, riding in a lot of top events, representing Great Britain on occasion. Really neat roll back to the tulips. And stays out in the 8 to get straight to the 1. Rolls off that B as well. This comes in quite deep to the double of verticals and takes A.
So 3 down there. Fortunately, would have been a very quick time. Without the rails down, would have been good enough for the lead, but it's a different story. 75.82 is the time there for Caroline and Hollywood. First of 2 remaining now. Zone 10 rider Kate Hovland and Cruz. This is a 14-year-old Danish warmblood gelding by Volstrups Casillas.
Yeah, we saw Zone 10, I believe, take the gold in the pre-juniors team event earlier this morning. So they've sent very solid teams. We'll see what they have in store for the young riders.
This is a pair that's been climbing the ranks out on the West Coast. Very competitive horse.
Quite efficient from 1, 2, and 3. A nice roll back to 4. Trying to pull it together for the 5. That got really short.
Huge stride.
Yeah, huge stride. Making up a lot of ground through to the Liverpool. And trying to reel it back in for the delicate tulips. And that double, that 1 stride Oxer vertical is also catching a lot of people as well. It's quite delicate. But definitely not her. She's so far on the clear.
Well, it could prove to be a very competitive time. I'm not sure at this point that she'll quite beat the leading time right now, but she'll be just a hair off. And not even a full second off, so very competitive there, 65-25, and we have a new 3rd place rider.
That was definitely a big cheering squad from for them as well.
So Olivia Williams holds her lead with Rocco Blue. Virginia Bonnie in 2nd with Effadea, and Kate Hovland takes over 3rd with Cruz with just 1 remaining. And that last rider to go, Ellie Ferrigno representing Zone 1. Idatori Vidi Richter is her ride, 15-year-old Belgian warmblood gelding by Winning Mood. Ellie had a stellar equitation career, winner of the Talent Search Final in 2019 and grand champion at Junior Hunter Finals as well the same year.
Yeah, we see another rider coming up through that equitation rank, through that American system. You can see it a lot in her position. Just gets caught on the back rail of B. Looks like the horse kind of studied those gates coming into 5A and just didn't have enough to get across. Just a nice medium roll back on the tulips. You know, it looks like it has a medium stride, so she knows kind of where she can make up time and where she kind of has to add a step in. It also looks like a very strong horse. So she's just doing her best to kind of manage its stride.
So just the one down there. 75:23 becomes the time for Ellie Ferrigno and Ida Torrey. So that does bring this first individual qualifier to a close, and the win goes to Olivia Williams. She took over the lead just about at the halfway point. She was the last one to go in before the midway drag, and she held it all the way through to the end of the class. 64:31 was that winning time aboard a Rocco Blue S. There we have our top six. Virginia Bonney snuck in there with Effadea to take second. Kate Hovland and Cruz took a late third place. Elena Haas and Santana had the lead for a little bit. They ended up in fourth place. And two riders from Mexico, Patricio Pascual and Maya Inez Denise, taking the fifth and sixth spots. But not much of a difference between the leading time and the sixth place time. I think all of these riders will continue on to be very competitive as the team competition gets underway tomorrow and the individual final takes place on Sunday. So quite a bit of show jumping to look forward to here this week.
Exactly. Exciting stuff to come. Still a lot of jumping, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes out.
Well, we'll let all of our competitors, we'll do our prize giving ceremony, and then they'll head off for a good night's rest before they compete for the team final tomorrow. Of course, we have also our junior team final taking place, so quite a bit of jumping, both of the sections very large, so a lot to watch. Also, FEI action takes place again tomorrow evening. We have our Hippodata Speed Classic. So Allie, huge thanks for joining us for a full day of show jumping today.
Of course, exactly, and a lot of excitement going into tomorrow.
There will be quite a bit to watch, so tune in for all of it. Be sure to check our schedule on Showgrounds Live and on Hippodata, and we hope you have a good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Youth at Jumping Championships, and helping us put all of this together here once again for 2023. We have everyone staged for our presentation to the top 6. And we'll start our presentation this afternoon with Mexico. 2 riders from Mexico finishing in the top 6 in today's Young Rider Individual Qualifier. It's 6th place honors for Maya Inez Denis Chambon with her own Argentine Demuse 67-13. As Maya Denis takes 6th in today's Young Riders Individual Qualifier. Also from Mexico, Patricio Pascal Pou, he takes 5th award with his own Serrano 19. 4th place honors going to Helena Haas with his Santana. With a time of 35:27, holding the lead at 1 point during our Young Riders Individual Qualifier, ultimately placing 4th for the Zone 3 rider. First up for photos, it'll be Kate Hovland with the Cruz leaping into that 3rd spot late in the order for the Young Rider Individual Qualifier this afternoon. A rider out of Newport Beach, California, 65:25 the time for Kate, taking 3rd for Zone 10. Yeah, thanks to Ivan Rakowski for being on hand for a presentation to the top 6 in today's Young Riders Individual Qualifier. Congratulations again to Kate Hovland, taking 3rd with the 14-year-old gelding Cruz. Second award goes to Virginia Bonney with FEI, owned by Nina Bonney of Prospect, Kentucky. Another shakeup in the top 6 late in the order as Virginia finishes 2nd overall with the 14-year-old mare by Kashmir Van Schudershoff. 64.92 the time, on the way to a 2nd place finish for Virginia Bonney with Nina Bonney's FEI. Congratulations again to Virginia with the 2nd place honors in today's Young Riders Individual Qualifier with Nina Bonney's FEI. But the win will go to Olivia Williams with Iroko Blue S, the Zone 5 rider taking the top call, besting a field of 36 in today's Young Riders Individual Qualifier as we open competition for this category this week at the North American Youth Jumping Championships. Her mount, a 10-year-old gelding by VDL Iroko Blue, and the winning time today at 64:31 as Olivia led for half the class. She was the final to go before the drag break, setting that time at 64:31, keeping the lead for the entire 2nd half of the class in today's Young Riders Individual Qualifier. Thanks again, Ivan Rakowski, for being with us for the presentation to our top 6 in the Young Riders Individual Qualifier. Congratulations again to Olivia Williams, opening up competition in the Young Rider category with the win of Borderon Iroko Blue S. Now, Olivia, when you're all set, if you would please lead us on a lap of honor as the winning rider for the Young Riders Individual Qualifier. And congratulations again to Olivia Williams as she caps off the day with the win of Borderon Iroko Blue S in the Young Riders Individual Qualifier. It does wrap us up for the day here in the Turtle Creek Casino International Ring. For tomorrow, Friday morning, we are scheduled for an 8 o'clock start time with the junior team competition.
U.S. Equestrian. Thousands of equestrians have united
To watch,
To learn.
To experience.
To compete.
in the pursuit of fairness, safety, welfare, and joy.
From the grassroots to the Olympic Games,
Each with personal goals